Hey, what's going on everybody? You're tuning to Tech Turtles, where we provide reliable news for all things tech, gaming, and pop culture. Today we're reviewing Mafia Definitive, which is a remake of the classic first installment in the Mafia series. Before starting, I would just like to state that I have not played the original Mafia. I'm new to the Mafia series and I will be reviewing this from the perspective of someone who is playing the game for the first time. In Mafia Definitive, you play as a cabbie named Tommy Angelo. One eventful night, you pick up two mobsters named Polly and Sam who are in a pickle. They force you to drive them away at gunpoint as you're being shot at and chased by a rival mob family. You get them to their destination safely and they take a liking to you. One thing leads to another and you end up joining Don Sawyer's family, quickly moving up in its ranks as well. Mafia's gameplay is a lot of fun. The developers Hangar 13 did a really good job of getting you engaged in the combat. You get to pick between 4 weapon classes: handguns, shotguns, sniper, and a Tommy gun. Honestly, you can use any of these in any situation. You could even use a handgun to fight off a whole gang of mobsters. In some situations, I did find the shotgun to be a bit more useful since it was usually a one-shot kill. The Tommy gun was very impactful, but ammo was always an issue with it. Even though you can find ammo boxes lying around, I still found myself running out of bullets a lot. You can pick up ammo from guns that enemies drop, but the Tommy gun was a bit more rare, so chances of finding one was a lot lower. Because of this, I usually kept a handgun and a shotgun since those were found a lot more easier compared to the Tommy gun. Taking cover matters a lot in Mafia because it allows you to maneuver through fights. In Mafia, you can take cover around objects and use them to fight against a large number of enemies, or you can use them for sneak attacks when doing a mission that requires stealth. Stealth missions were very engaging because you can't use any weapons, so instead you take cover behind or beside something and slowly work your way towards an enemy. Once you're within striking distance, you'd apply a finishing move and take them out without anyone noticing. There were a lot of options to pick from when it came to the vehicles. You can grab one off the street or take your enemies once you're done with them. But driving them was a bit of a challenge, which is expected since it was the 1930s and cars were not as advanced as they are now. When getting away from cops or mobsters, or even chasing someone, I had to really pay attention to how I was driving and slowing down to make the turns. At first, I was hitting a lot of objects and took damage as well, which added to the intensity of driving in the game. But eventually, I got the hang of it and really enjoyed the driving portion of the game, especially during the race mission where you got to race with an actual race car and got a chance to show off your driving skills. Missions is where Mafia really shined in my opinion. Hangar 13 did a really good job providing a variety of different kinds of missions. Don't get me wrong, all of them did require killing or stealing of some sort, but it was a unique process was what made it really enjoyable. One of the enjoyable missions was taking out a opposing politician. I had to work my way through a prison that was abandoned by the feds and taken over by hobos. In order to gain information on where to go, you had to interact with the hobos there to get information. Some were helpful and some were not so helpful. Once I reached the top of the guard tower, I grabbed the sniper that my associates kept there for me and aimed at the target and shot him. Right afterwards, you can hear the police say that the shot came from the old prison guard tower, and soon after, the police had surrounded the area. By the time I got down from the tower, the police were inside and I had to fight my way through, and to be honest, the fight was really epic. Throughout the game, you get to fight alongside your two mobster buddies, Polly and Sam. I even got to fight alongside them in a lot of the fights, but I always felt like they weren't really doing anything. No matter how many people I had with me, I always found myself having to take out all of the enemies by myself, while Polly and Sam were just there for the ride. But Polly's antics and humor honestly made up for it, and it was really enjoyable having him around. As for Sam, well, Sam's a rat, but we'll get into that later when we discuss the plot. I didn't encounter any major bugs throughout the game. One that I did find was frustrating was whenever I would interact with objects, there was always a slight pause before being able to proceed doing it. Now, it wasn't exactly game breaking, but it was very noticeable and really made the game feel a little less smooth. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I have not played the original Mafia game. Regardless, I did check it out, and honestly, even though Hangar 13 aren't the original
Tommy.
developers behind the game, they did a great job maintaining the environment and feel of the original game, while still giving it that
What
remarkable
other
upgrade
people's
it
thoughts too.
deserves. The city is detailed and gives off that old depression
You
feel,
there,
which makes sense since it was during a time where
That's new.
struggle was a
Are
reality
you
for a lot of
driving or
people. The
loitering?
cars look amazing and there
Driving.
was a good amount to choose
Always
from.
driving.
The cutscenes are very detailed, and you can tell Hangar 13 really took their time crafting their art. Overall, I think Hangar 13 did a great job with the graphics. I didn't really find any major issues with the lighting or any scenes where heads were missing, and the ones I did find were so minor you would have missed them unless you're constantly looking for issues. The sound is really good in Mafia. Hangar 13 did a really good job portraying the correct music to go with the situation. There was never a dull moment in the game where I felt like the music wasn't matching the current scenario of the game. If I was in a dangerous situation, the game would match that by providing some spooky sounds to make me feel more immersed into the game. It also made me hesitate when going to certain situations
Gang
because
invading.
the music would hint
Shit.
at something dangerous bound to happen.
Are we even making a dent?
Mafia's storyline really shines throughout the game to the very end. Tommy, who was just a cab driver, finds himself working his way up a mob family. Before he knows it, he becomes the right hand man for the Dawn and becomes close friends with both Polly and Sam. Even though he becomes a prominent member of the family, deep down Tommy always has a feeling that he was going to go down a path that would eventually come back to bite him. The main plot of the game is to take down the rival family Morello. That's what the game is building towards the whole time, that final showdown between the Salieri family and the Morello family. The journey towards the showdown is very interesting, one as you encounter trust, loyalty, and betrayal. Mafia did a really good job of surprising you throughout the game. You get betrayed by people who you thought were your closest allies, and the ones that had your back the whole time were the ones you were second guessing. In the end, even when you're at the top, you still feel empty. You want to get out of the family, so your pal Polly comes up with a plan to rob a bank with you and Sam. Split the cash, live the rest of your lives outside of violence. Sam refuses because it meant going behind the Don's back, while Tommy agrees. The robbery goes smooth, but the next day Tommy finds Polly dead with a bullet in his head. Right after, he gets a phone call from Sam, and Tommy meets up with him thinking that Sam would help him get out. Instead, Sam betrays you and
Like a
reveals
cum
that he
ball.
killed Polly, and you end up killing
Your
him
husband.
in revenge for Polly.
Your
Right after
father.
that, Tommy goes to the feds and snitches on the family in return for protection
Your
for his
man.
own family. In the end, the whole Salieri family goes under, and Tommy spends
This
8
ain't no
years in jail.
bodybuilder.
Once he gets out, he gets to
Just a
live
kid
up
with
until
strength.
seeing his daughter's wedding. But unfortunately,
I
his old
see.
life finds him, and he's killed by one of
Family
Salieri's goons.
is
Tommy knows
weak
the whole
points.
time that his life was coming to an end, but he wasn't
Wealth
able
or
to
great
avoid it.
strength.
He accepts his fate, rest assured, knowing that his family will be safe now. As someone who's playing this game for the first time, I really enjoyed it. The character development was really good, and you get to bond with the other characters throughout the game. The whole betrayal part felt a lot more impactful because of how close you get with some of these characters. Mafia did not miss a beat when it came to making sure the missions were not boring. From damaging property to breaking into mansions to even shooting down a plane, it was all very entertaining and kept me engaged the whole time.
Okay, boss. Be
Unfortunately, the
careful.
city felt boring at certain points, since there wasn't much to do. Yes, the game is open world, but in terms of content, the city was pretty shallow. It would have been nice to be able to command some mobsters, or perform robberies, or just interact with the city in general, but the storyline and gameplay honestly made up for it, and in the end, I really enjoyed Mafia Definitive. I give this game a 9 out of 10. Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you liked the video, leave us a like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell, and stay tuned for more awesome tech news.